Well, I'm thrilled to be here, as John so appropriately set up, on the 6th day of the Newsom administration. That's right. As many of you, heck, all of you know, I'm serving as acting governor while Jerry Brown is overseas. And I thought it was only time, well, this is the right time and the appropriate time to reflect on the cornucopia of landmark accomplishments over these last magical 6 days. Now, one, the Newsom administration has single-handedly created hundreds of jobs, most notably in the booming hair gel industry. Two, by executive order, I've appointed, finally, someone else to walk and clean up after Sutter. Believe me, it gives new meaning to being number two. And three, I've ordered all state employees to purchase at least one book on the scintillating topic of technology and government, as long as the book is titled Citizenville. And four, I gotta confess, this one's tough for me. I was disappointed, so disappointed the president didn't mention the best looking LG in history. But wait, but Cruz Bustamante has that locked up. That's not fair. And finally, I've decided to appoint our own John Burton. John, he's left. But John, I've decided to appoint you as Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. Now, wait a second. Where instead of please rise, the court bailiff will now order you to sit your ass down and shut the, well, hell up. Cleaning up my language. Boy, now, I know what you're thinking. Now, all of these remarkable achievements will one day be studied by scholars at the Newsom Acting Governor Library, currently being constructed in the back of a medical marijuana dispensary in the Haight-Ashbury. I'm looking forward to it as well. No, seriously, acting governor hasn't been that eventful. But it is a huge honor to stand here before what is definitively the hardest working and most successful state political party organization in America. I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your stewardship, your faith, your devotion, your love and constancy of our party and this state. And most importantly, I want to thank you for getting California back on track. Yet for all of our accomplishments and all that sense of renewed optimism about our fate and future, we still have unfinished business. Think about this. This is serious. Think about this. Tonight on the streets of our great state, some 130,000 human beings will be without shelter, and they'll be suffering the consequences of the elements. Suffering from bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, paranoia, from drug and alcohol abuse, many duly diagnosed and so many self-medicating. The most significant population of homelessness in America here in our great state, California. It's time for the state to meet our cities and take responsibility to address the most acute manifestation of poverty, and that's chronic homelessness. We can do better. We can do a lot better. Now you know this. We not only have the highest homeless rate in America, but the highest poverty rate in the United States. Think about this. California has 3 of the top 5 impoverished metro areas in the entire nation: Fresno, Modesto, and Bakersfield. Almost 9 million Californians, and a full 20% of California's children are living at or below the poverty line. 38.5%. I'll repeat that. 38.5% of our children in Fresno living below the poverty line. Roughly 4 out of 10. We can do better. And the key, I would argue, to addressing principally, to addressing foundationally and structurally this great challenge is acknowledging that we can and must do more to tackle the issue of joblessness in the state of California. You know, is it any surprise that Fresno, Modesto, and Bakersfield also have some of the highest unemployment in the state? Colusa County, 25 25.9%. Imperial County, 24.2%. Sutter, 18.7%, and 17.8% in Merced. These are Depression-era unemployment numbers. 1.8 million Californians actively seeking employment that cannot find work. A statewide unemployment rate of 9.6%, the nation's highest. But what hides behind these numbers is even more insidious. Latino unemployment in California, 11.9%. And get this, African American unemployment in California, 17.2%. Not underemployment, that's the raw unemployment number. Meanwhile, I left yesterday Marin County with the state's lowest unemployment rate of just 5.4%. It's as if we're living in two completely distinct worlds in our same state. So it's time for us to step up and lead again. Job creation and economic development must be our #1 progressive priority in this state. And let me say this, we can't cede this issue to the other party. We have to be as bold on the issue of job creation and economic development as the problem is big. And speaking of bold, you know, this bothers me and it should bother every single one of you. In the last 3 decades, we have spent over $4 billion to execute 13 people in order to perpetuate the myth that we're safer as a society because of the death penalty. $4 billion. You know, if California eliminated the death penalty tomorrow, this year alone we can save and reinvest $184 million. Prop 34. While Prop 34 may have failed at the ballot last November, I was proud to support it nonetheless. However, this is what we can't just wait for another election cycle to begin the conversation anew on the state of the death penalty in California. We need to be proactive and engage people every day and remind them of the state of the death penalty in California, that it's not a deterrent, it's not foolproof, it is racially biased, it costs more, and there's no way to reverse a mistake when you put an innocent person wrongly accused to death. And I don't know about you, but you know, at a time when my friend Martin O'Malley in the Maryland legislature is standing on principle, and they had the courage to just recently repeal the death penalty, I think it's time for us to figure out a way to do the same here in California. Let's stop reading the polls, let's start changing the polls in this state. And speaking of which, I think it's time for politicians of all stripes to come out of the closet. Now, I think it's time to decriminalize, to tax, and regulate marijuana. It's time. Come on. You know, it's time to own up to the fact that our drug laws have done more harm than good. The war on drugs is an abject failure. Just is. You know, in 2011 alone in this country, 750,000 people in the United States were arrested for marijuana law violations, 87% for simple possessions. And listen to me closely on this. African American children are 10 times more likely to get arrested for drug crimes than their white counterparts, even though white children are more likely to abuse drugs. Those are the facts. You can't make this up. We send a higher percentage of African American males to prison and jail in this country than we do to college and universities in California. You can't make this up. So I hope you're with me. After 42 years of failure, this isn't time we concede. I think it is time we concede that if we continue to do what we've done, we'll continue to get what we've got. We and you all, I think, deserve better. Again, it's about standing up on principle. It's about having the courage of our convictions. It's about saying publicly what all too often we say privately, just as we did in 2004 in San Francisco. You know, we now stand on the precipice of history with a Supreme Court just months away from deciding the fate of DOMA and Proposition 8. And as early as this summer, we will right the wrong of Prop 8 and allow loving couples, regardless of their sexual orientation, to live their lives out loud and to say those two magical words, I do. Just months away. And let me say this, Democrats, that court decision is a reminder that the future is not just in front of us, it's inside of every single one of you. It's a reminder we don't have to accept existing conditions. We can make decisions that will determine our fate and future, decisions that can bend the arc of history, as Dr. King so eloquently asserted, towards justice. Thank you all very, very much.